Hello everyone, this is Grace here. In this video, we will be discussing chapter 2 decision making techniques. So, under decision making techniques, we will be learning what are the different decisions which a management or manager will make to decide whether that product will give a good return or profitability in the course of business. So, to make alternative decisions so that this technique will be useful for the business to generate more profit instead of going under loss. So this decision making techniques what we are learning under this chapter will give the management an idea to analyze the cost which is being controlled or saved from using the different alternatives or different techniques. So what are the different techniques? We will get into the chapter and learn clearly. So before we learn to decision making techniques, we need to know the basic definitions like what is relevant cost, what is differential cost. Then we will get into what are the different decision making techniques. So relevant cost and irrelevant cost. So a cost that is relevant to a decision is called relevant cost. Past costs are not generally relevant cost because they are sunk cost. So the cost which is being used to make current decisions on a product for in a management is known as relevant cost. So the cost of the past cost, for example, the depreciation, the cost of an asset which is already bought is called as sunk cost. So what do you mean by sunk cost? So sunk cost is nothing but, so it is the cost which has already been incurred and which is therefore not relevant to decision making techniques. This is historical cost and is sunk in the past. So where the accounting aspect for this cost has already been recorded in the financial statement and it is of no use for the current period. So it is an historical cost which is present. So as it is not being used for the current requirement or current decision making of the management, this is such costs are called as sunk cost. So which is the past cost which is already recorded in the financial statement and been shown in the profit and loss or balance sheet. So now what is relevant cost is the cost which has been exactly used at the current for decision making. So thus the book value of an asset or depreciated value of an asset is not a relevant cost. So this depreciated value or the book value of the asset will come under the sunk cost. It will not come under relevant cost. On the other hand, the fall in resale value of an asset as a result of using and also the running expenses incurred to make use of an asset are relevant cost. So through this you would have understood what is relevant cost. For example, I'm going to produce a product. So while producing a product, what are the expenses incurred at the current period? It can be the raw materials expenses which I spend, then the labor's wages which I pay, the electricity bill which I pay. So all these costs which are involved in the current decision making process as well as for the current operation of the business in order to earn better income. So all the costs which is incurred in the decision making or which is relevant to the decisions of the management at the current period for the where the expenses are running expenses, that is the expenses keep on incurring frequently again and again in each production process is called as relevant cost. So next, distinguish between relevant cost and irrelevant cost. So in order to exercise cost control, managers must be able to make distinction between relevant cost and irrelevant cost. Yes, so the management should know what are the costs which are relevant. That is, what are the expense he is going to incur frequently in his production process every time, irrespective of whatever production he is doing. So the costs which are recurring, you need to classify what is the irrelevant costs. Irrelevant costs are the past cost, which is also called as sunk cost, which is already been recorded. It is an only a historical data. So you can take an example of, for example, it can be under irrelevant cost. All your fixed expenses can be considered as your irrelevant cost, which also can be called as sunk cost, because whatever the production might be, the cost of this expenses will be fixed. So all these variable expenses will come under your irrelevant, where it will be recurring again and again, and it keeps on changing based on the production output is. So if the production output is more, the cost will increase. The production output is less, the cost will decrease. So it depends, it can be vice versa, it depends on the production output. So you need to, the management should know what are the relevant and irrelevant, so he can make sure that where he can cut the cost and reduce the cost, so that he will earn better profit from that production. Then costs that are affected by the managerial decisions are known as relevant cost. Yes, so all the variable costs will help the management. If the manager know what are the different variable costs, he will get an idea where to control the cost. And those that are affected are treated as are not affected are treated as irrelevant cost. So decision making is the process of evaluating various alternatives available and making a choice of the best alternative, giving maximum profit or least cost. So decision making techniques is nothing but which helps the management to evaluate the different techniques which are used and to make a best choice to fix the best alternative, which is giving maximum profit and least, and which reduces the cost. Next, we need to learn what is differential cost. So differential cost is the cost, that is the change in the cost which may take place due to increase or decrease in the output, changes in sale volume, alternative method of production, make or buy decision, change in product mix, etc. So differential cost is the result of an alternative course of action. Yes, so the cost which is varying by use of different alternatives. So the difference which is there between the use of different alternatives, for example, if the volume of the sales are changed, what is the differential cost incurred. For example, if the sales volume is, if you are producing 10,000 units and you're producing 6,000 units, and you analyze which will give you better profit, so you are finding the difference. Next alternative can be make or buy decision, whether if you make the product it is giving you a better profit, or if you buy the product it will give you a good return, whether your cost has been reduced, can you control the cost. So you analyze or evaluate all these alternatives and you make a better decision. So the difference what you get by using all these alternatives which are put into action, the difference what you get between the two evaluation is known as differential cost. Keeping the difference, you can judge which alternative or which course of actions of this alternative or the techniques used will benefit to generate good profit and reduce the cost. So next we are going to learn the characteristics of differential cost. So differential cost analysis is not made within the accounting records, rather than it is made outside the accounting records. Yes. So the differential cost which is incurred will not be used to record in the financial statement. It is only evaluating which alternative will give you the better return. So as we learned the alternatives here, that is method of production, make or buy decision, changes in the sales volume, change in product mix. So change in product mix is, if you have 1 lakh units, if you use 60%, 50%, 40%, how many units if you produce you will make the profit. So you will calculate it and you will find out. So here your total sales is 1 lakh units. So in this 1 lakh units, the different mix are 60%, 40, 50%, 40%. So 1 lakh into 60%, 60,000, 1 lakh into 50%, 50,000, 1 lakh into 40%, 40,000. So this is your sales units which you're going to produce. So you will calculate it using your costing methods, that is sales minus variable cost will give you your contribution, then minus your fixed expenses will give you your profit. Like this you will minus and you'll find out which will give you your more profit, and that sales mix will be mix will be fixed, or you will use that sales mix. So it can be 60% can give you profit immediately, or producing 40 units 40% of the output sales volume will give you profit. So based on this you will make the decision. So it is only a decision making techniques, but you will not use it in accounting or to record in your books of accounts. Then total differential revenue are compared with total differential cost before advocating an alternative course of action. Yes, before you make a decision which to take up, that is one of the techniques, decision making techniques can be make or buy. So before you you will decide to make or buy the product by comparing the revenue what you earn and the cost what you incur, the cost what is incurred for that particular product. So based on this only you will decide whether to make or buy. You can't blindly decide whether to make the product or whether to buy the product. You will prepare a cost sheet and analyze the cost, and you will check which part will give you more revenue and which part will give you which will lead you to less cost, and based on that you will make decisions. So that is why it is told here, differential revenue and total differential cost are being looked into before fixing up the alternative which you are going to implement. The third one, total differential costs are considered in differential cost analysis. Cost per unit is not taken into consideration. Yes. So here cost per unit will not be taken into consideration to find the differential cost. So to make any decision, cost per unit is not taken into consideration. Here the total differential cost which has been incurred through the analysis or evaluation of two alternatives, that differential cost will be considered to make decision to find which alternative is best. Next, the items of cost which do not change for the alternatives under consideration are ignored. Only the difference in items of the cost are considered, because differential cost analysis is concerned with changes in cost. So when you analyze the alternatives, if there is no change in the alternative, then it will be ignored, and you can use the alternative as fixed by the management. So if suppose if there is any difference in the items of cost, that is, for example, if you make or buy, when I give you an example of again make or buy, by making that product, you will analyze and find out that the cost is less, but when you buy the product the cost is more, or it can be vice versa. So you will look if there is no change in it, that is whether you buy or whether make it, the cost remains same, then you will ignore the alternatives, then there will be no differential cost. So when you analyze and find out that there is difference in the cost between when you make and when you buy, and which action reduces your cost, you will check into whether making a product will reduce your cost or buying the product will reduce your cost. Based on that you would decide which alternative to use. So differential cost analysis is concerned mainly with the changes in the cost. So it is always focusing on the changes in the cost. If the cost is reduced, then if the differential cost is okay, that is, if from the analysis, if the decision, so based on the decision, that is the difference which has been present, based on that the best alternative will be selected. So it is concentrating only on the cost. Next is the change in cost are measured from a common base point, which may be a present course of action or present level of production. So this change in cost is basically measured in the production sector. So in the may focus on base, that is, changes in the cost are measured from a common base point, which may be present course of action or present level of production. So it is concentrating on the level of production. So as everything is dealt with the product, so it starts from the production sector, so which production generates good return. So instead of producing in mass and rendering it to the customers and getting loss out of it, it is always better to make decisions. So which level of production or which sales mix will give you a better or which alternatives what we have discussed till now will give you a better returns as well as to reduce cost. Based on the cost will be measured and will be uh, will be used to determine which course of action is better to fix on and continue with the production aspects. So differential cost is nothing but the cost which I'm sorry, the cost, that is the change in the cost which takes place due to increase or decrease in the output, increase or decrease in the output based by taking into consideration the alternative methods like production, make or buy, sales mix, different sales mix, and other alternative course of actions or other decision making techniques. So next we will get into the what are the different techniques which is used, or the alternative is what we have discussed under differential cost. We will get into what are the different alternative techniques which has been used. So here accept or reject decisions is made by the management. Make or buy decisions are being made. So these are the uses of your differential cost. And level of activity planning will be decided. Purchasing or leasing will be decided. So these are the different decision making aspects of the management. So when we come to accept or reject decisions, so when we are producing for example, so as per the example which is given under this explanation is that, so where the management will be in a situation to make decisions whether to purchase the goods in the foreign market or in the local market. So in this case, he need to look into what is the incremental revenue, what is he going to earn, what is the increase, whether he is getting increment in the cost, whether the cost is increasing or revenue is increasing by this purchase. So if you need to analyze the cost, so you need to concentrate on the cost what is being incurred and then compare with the revenue what he is getting. Is he getting a revenue? When he looks into the cost, he should make sure that the purchase of the raw material or any kinds of machines or any kind of machines or capital goods from the foreign country, he need to check the price of the product. If it is less than the local market, then it is better to accept the foreign country's purchase from a foreign country. But if the local market provides at the better price, it is always best to fix the local market, because when you fix up the local market, the price is less, as well as you don't incur any transportation expenses and any other related issues with foreign currencies. But when you accept the foreign countries purchases, that is, if you purchase goods from the foreign country, you need to calculate all the aspects, what is the expenses incurred, that is, what is the incremental cost what you are getting, and what is the whether you're getting an incremental revenue. Based on this, you will decide which is best. So if the local market provides you better quality products at a lesser price there compared to your foreign country, you can purchase the goods from the local market. So in this, you need to check what is the revenue. You need to analyze the price, the other expenses, whether you're getting incremental revenue is increased or cost is increased. So if your revenue is more than your cost, then it is better to accept based on the alternatives which has been given. So if the increment revenue is more than incremental cost, the proposal should be accepted, otherwise not. So next is make or buy decision. So when you look into the assembly type concerns, for example, you are into automobile industries, the different parts are being produced by different sectors. So some products will be bought from the other manufacturers, and then it will be assembled to finish the product. So in some cases, all the products are being manufactured by the dealers itself. There will be no approach from the outside dealers. So these decisions are being made based on the calculation of whether by making a product cost can be controlled or revenue is earned, or by buying the product the cost is controlled or revenue is earned. So between the two decisions, making or buying, which will depend basi- which will depend on the external suppliers. So the cost which the external suppliers gives will depend on to buy the product. And based on the cost which can be controlled, if the cost can be controlled internally, then it is better to make the product. So analysis of the cost. So the two parties, internal management can be done by making the product, or if the cost is more than the production which has been if the cost incurred is more than is more by making the product, it is better to buy the product from the external suppliers. So this is one of the technique which can be used to solve for solving make or buying, to decide on to make or buy a product. Next is level of activity planning. So marginal costing and differential cost analysis may be of great help to the management in planning the level of activity. Maximum contribution at a particular level of activity will show the position of maximum profitability. So when it comes to level of activity planning, It is nothing but the different units to be produced, as I've already given the example in the introduction itself. So where 1 lakh units was given to be produced in a month. So we will look into the different sales aspect, where 60, 40, 50 and 40, which will give you a better return. So based on that level, you will start producing the units. If 60 units gives you better profit, or if for producing 40 units will give you better profit than producing 60 units, you will select your 40 units. So this is the level of activity planning which will help you to look into, which is giving you maximum contribution, that is nothing but maximum profitability. So here there is an aspect of marginal costing. So marginal costing and differential costing will almost have the similar meaning, where marginal costing is the cost which is the difference what is there in the cost, or the cost which is which has been, or the aggregate cost which is changed, or where the aggregate cost is increased because if the volume of the output is increased or decreased by 1 unit. So under marginal costing, even by producing 1 unit, or by reducing the output by 1 unit, the difference what is got in the cost, that is the in the aggregate cost, is known as marginal costing. So as a definition, the amount at a given volume of output by which aggregate costs are changed if the volume of output is increased or decreased by 1 unit. So when it crosses that the cost when it crosses that particular margin by producing one extra unit, the cost which is incurred is known as marginal cost. So when I speak about differential cost, that is the difference between the two alternative course of actions. So the cost which you get from the two alternatives is known as differential cost. But marginal cost is by producing 1 unit extra, what is the what is the cost which has been increased or decreased by reducing 1 unit, or by producing 1 unit extra. So what is the cost which is incurred is known as marginal cost. If the cost be decided crosses the margin by producing 1 unit, that cost is known as marginal cost. So yeah, these are the different techniques or decision making techniques which is used under marginal costing and differential costing. Then purchasing or leasing. So as you all know already, purchasing purchasing a house is better, or to lease out, or to be under a lease is better. So based on the based on the amount what you have, you decide upon it. So based on all these aspects, we will go through certain problems. So let us get into the first problem. So the first problem is based on level of activity planning. So as we discussed under this, the different decisions which has been made under, or the practical application of marginal costing as well as differential costing. So how are these decisions are going to be helpful in the business read out, will be solved out based on the different problems. So first problem is based on level of activity planning. A company has a capacity of producing 1 lakh units of certain products in a month. The sale department reports that the following schedule of sale price is possible. So volume of production is 60%, 70%, 80%, 90% and 100. And they have given the selling price for all the volume of production what is to be done. So for 60% 0.90, for 70% 0.90, and for 80% 0.75, for 90% 0.67, and for 100% the sale price is 0.61 per unit. Then they have asked us the variable cost of the manufacture between these levels is 0.15 per unit, and fixed cost is 40,000. At which volume of production will the profit be maximum? So we will calculate and tell you at which level will give us the maximum profit, and that alternative will be used for producing the units in the department. Now solution statement showing the contribution at various level. So the capacity units, so it is usually the cost sheet how we use, that is sales minus variable cost will give you the contribution. So usually based on the contribution itself, as the fixed cost is fixed, based on the results which has been obtained from the contribution itself, the management will make decisions. So the sales will be calculated now. For 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, and 100%, we need to know what is the total sales. So as in the question which is given, the total units which is to be produced is 1 lakh units in the organization. So and they have given us the volume of production which are the different percentage. So now we will calculate out of 1 lakh units, if 60% is produced, then 60,000 units is used as the capacity or production. Then 70% of 1 lakh will give you 70,000. Then 80% of 1 lakh will give you 80,000. Then 90% of 1 lakh will give you 90,000. Then they have also given us, if you're using full 1 lakh units for producing, what is the contribution you're going to get is supposed to be calculated. So these are the percentage and these are the units. So now we'll calculate the contribution. Now sales minus variable cost. So how will you calculate your sales is, they have given a selling price for the different volume of production. So for 60% it is 0.90. So 0.90 into 60,000 will give you 54,000. So next is, so 60,000 into 0.90 will give us 54,000. In the same way, for 70%, 70,000 units is produced. 70,000 units into the selling price per unit, which is 0.90. So into 0.90 will give us 63,000. Then 80,000 into the selling price for 80% is 0.75, which would give us 60,000. Next, for 90%, it is 90,000 into the selling price for it is per unit is 0.67. So into 0.67, which will give us 60,300. Then for 100%, the units is 1 lakh units into selling price is 0.61 into 0.61, which will give us 61,000. So this is the sales which is to be made, which was decided by the management. That is the selling price per unit, which is decided by the management based on the volume of production. So next they have given us the variable cost, which is 0.15 per unit. So for 60,000 units, 60,000 into variable cost, which is 0.15, which is 9,000. So less 9,000. Sales minus variable cost. Sales is 54,000 for 60%, minus 9,000, which will give us 45,000. Next, 70% of it. So sales, which is 63,000. So variable cost is 70,000 into 0.15, which will give us 10,500. So sales 63,000 minus 10,500 will give us 52,500. So now 63,000 minus 10,500, which will give us 52,500. Then for 80%, so variable cost is 0.15 which is 0.15 per unit. So 80,000 units into 0.15, which will give us 80,000 into 0.15, which will give us 12,000. So 60,000 minus 12,000 will give us 48,000. Then for 90%, it is 0.15 variable cost per unit. So the number of units for 90% is 90,000 into variable cost 1.5, which will give us 13,500. So 60,300 minus 13,500 will give us contribution of 46,800. Then in the same way, for 1 lakh units, 1 lakh into 0.15 of variable cost per unit, which will give us 15,000. So 61,000 minus 15,000, which will give us 46,000 as contribution. So looking into this, the contribution which is generating more, the contribution which is being more for the different level of activity planning will be taken into consideration. So if you look into here, for 60, 70, 80, 90 and 100, for 70% generates more contribution, which is nothing but it leads to more profit. So the conclusion will be contribution at 70%, which is maximum, fixed cost being constant at all levels of production, profit is also maximum at 70% of level of activity. So it is better to select the level of activity at 70% and start producing 70,000 units in order to get better profit or better profit. So here we have not taken into consideration fixed cost. Even though you take fixed cost, it remains fixed for all the activities and you get the same level, same level of profit, and the best alternative can be selected. So 70%, which generates maximum contribution, we will be selecting 70% level of activity. So let us get into the next question. So here the next question is based on purchase or leasing. So GPC Limited has received an offer to either purchase a building or for rupees 4 lakhs or take it on lease for an annual rental of rupees 40,000. So the cost composition of the building includes 40,000 for the land. So what is the purchase price of the building? 4 lakh. They have given here the cost composition of the building, where this 4 lakh includes 40,000 for land. If the building is purchased, renovation will cost another 60,000. So if the building is purchased, the renovation will cost 60,000. However, if the building is leased, so for how much is the building leased? 40,000, which is given here, lease for an annual rental of 40,000. So if the building is leased, GPC Limited has agreed to pay property tax and insurance and make necessary repairs. Then it is estimated that annual cost will be as follows. So property tax. So if the building is leased, he is supposed to pay. However, if the building is leased, GPC Limited has agreed he is supposed to pay the property tax, which is 8,000, and insurance is at 1.11%. If you round off, it will be to 1 rupees 10. So 1.11% to be calculated on the value before renovation and is expected to remain constant at levels. So how are you going to calculate this insurance at 1.11% is where you will use it to you will calculate it before renovation. So before adding up the renovation expenses, that is 60,000, you will calculate the insurance, and which will remain constant at all levels. Then the repairs also to be maintained if it is leased out, which is rupees 12,000. The building has an estimated life of 20 years and to be depreciated on a straight line method. So this number of years is given to find out the depreciation value. The salvage value would be equal to the cost of demolition. The amount required to purchase and remodel the building will yield 8% interest-free tax invested in marketable securities. So here the amount which is required to purchase and to renovate the building, the amount which is used for that will yield. So if you are investing in a tax in marketable securities, it will give you 8% interest free from tax. So you are required to prepare a statement showing the annual saving or extra cost involved if the building is purchased as compared to leasing. So you will suggest whether the building should be purchased or leasing, or and also they have stated if you are using the amount which you are going to use for the purchase and for renovation, if you invest in marketable securities, it will give you 8% interest. So which is going to give you better return, you will be deciding in this problem. So this is based on purchase and leasing. So let us get into the solution. So statement showing the extra annual saving or extra cost in the operation if the building is purchased as against leasing. So the annual operating cost structure. So we have particulars, purchasing and leasing. So we have property tax, which is 8,000. So whether you purchase or whether you lease out, as it is mentioned in the question, if the purchaser is must to pay the property tax because it is his property. If the building is leased out, it is mentioned in the question that the person who is taking on lease has to bear property tax and insurance. So the purchaser should also bear the property tax because it is the property tax, and he need to pay regular insurance, he need to bear repairs and maintain depreciation. If he is leasing out, as it is mentioned in the question, property tax, insurance and repairs will be maintained by the lessee. So now let us calculate particulars purchasing and leasing. So property tax to be paid by both if you purchase or if you lease out, which is 8,000 as per the question. Next is insurance is at 1.11%. So which is clearly stated, which is to be calculated before renovation. So what is the renovation expenses which is given in the question is which is if the building is purchased, renovation will cost another 60,000. So now so as the insurance is 1.1%, that is before renovation. So what is the cost of building? It should be checked. See, the cost of building is rupees 4 lakh. 4 lakh, where this 4 lakh includes the cost of land, which is 40,000. So as it clearly mentioned, the cost composition of the building, which is 4 lakh, includes 40,000 for land. So insurance will always be on the building, not on the land. Land will always have an appreciation value, so there is no need to provide insurance for such assets. So only for the building which will reduce the value or depreciation value has been calculated on building, insurance will be charged only on the building. So 4 lakh minus 40,000, which will give you 3 lakh 60,000. So on this you will charge your insurance, that is 1.11%, which will give you 4,000. So let us calculate. So which is 3 lakh 60,000. So how did you get 3 lakh 60,000? 4 lakh is the total cost of the asset minus the land value, which is 40,000, will give you 3 lakh 60,000. So into 1.11%, which will give you 3,996. So round it off as it is mentioned in the question. So when we round it off, we will get to 4,000. So round it up is which is mentioned in the question as stated, round off to the nearest rupees 10. So where let it be a round whole number, which is 4,000. So there is only, you get the answer as 3,996. So just 4 rupees is the difference. So round it off in order to get a zero figures, that is counts of tens. So 4,000 and 4,000, insurance for both will be 4,000 and 4,000. Then repairs and maintenance will be paid whether you're purchasing, and it is to be paid if you're leasing, because it is mentioned in the agreement, which is to be taken while taking the property for lease, the building or the property for lease. So repairs and maintenance is 12,000 both for purchasing as well as leasing. So when we come into the next expenses in the question will be, after repairs and maintenance, you need to charge depreciation, and they've given here 20 years as the depreciation. So you will calculate the depreciation. So how will you calculate the depreciation is the total value of the building plus the renovation expenses or the expenses which is used to add on features for that building, divided by the number of years. So 3,60,000 is the value of the building, plus 60,000 is your renovation expenses, divided by 20, which will give you 21,000. Only when you purchase the asset, you will have the power to charge over depreciation and calculate depreciation, because it is your own asset. If it is a leased asset, then the lessee will not be able to calculate the depreciation, because it is not his own asset. So only when you purchase, you have the right over to calculate the depreciation, so to know the net value of the asset. So depreciation is for purchasing and it will be nil for leasing. Now if you are purchasing, these are the expenses, that is you need to bear property tax, insurance, repairs and maintenance, and depreciation. If you're leasing, you, as per the agreement which is stated, property tax, insurance and repairs will be maintained. Along with that, you need to pay the lease rentals monthly. So what is the lease rentals monthly in the question, which is mentioned is, which is mentioned here as lease for an annual rental of 40,000. So annual rental of 40,000. So when you add up your purchasing, you will get 45,000 as the total cost, and when you add up your leasing, you're getting 64,000. So based on this, which will you decide? So now as per the explanation which is given here, thus if the building is purchased, so if you're just looking into this, you can come into your conclusion that while leasing the cost is more, so it is better to purchase where the maintenance cost is less. Yes, you will make a decision based on this, but you need to understand it clearly that if the building is purchased, the investment required will be 4,60,000. So 3,60,000 which is for building, 40,000 for land, and 60,000 for renovation, which will give you the total of 4,60,000, which otherwise would have fetched 36,800 by way of 8% interest. So if you're buying the building, it will cost you to invest 4,60,000. If you're not buying the building, you have another option which is mentioned in the question, where if you're using that asset, that money for investing in marketable securities, which is tax free, you will earn 8% interest. So 4 lakh 60 what you want to spend on the asset into 8% you will earn as interest. If you're investing in good tradable securities, you will earn 36,800 by way of 8% interest. Hence, total cost which GPC Limited has to incur will be 81,000. So how did you get 81,000? Is if you purchase from the money what you have, that is 4,60,000, you need to bear a cost of 45,000, and a plus 36,800 loss of income. So if you are into, so this 36,800 is loss of income. So the total expenses or total loss which has been incurred, or the total cost which has been incurred by GPC is 81,800. You can ask me why 36,800 loss of income is added over to it. So yes, so if he is purchasing, he is investing his money in the asset where he need to bear a total cost on monthly basis of 45,000 or yearly basis based on the calculation what we have done, where 45,000 is supposed to be bared by him uh, annually, where he's supposed to, so he's supposed to bear it annually, so which is 45,000. So if he's purchasing, then he will lose his investment, so where he can't make investment, so which is loss of income, which is 36,800. So this is the total cost which the purchaser or GPC Limited has to bear. Then annually as against total cost of 64,000 incurred if the building is taken on lease. So if he is deciding to take it on lease, 64,000 expenses to be paid by him. Thus the company will gain rupees 17,800. So how is he gaining 17,800? Is 81,800, which is the expense which is incurred if you're purchasing, plus the loss of income which is 36,800, where you'll get 81,800 minus 64,000 if you are leasing out the, if the property is being leased up where you're supposed to maintain 64,000. So the difference what you get out of this is 17,800. So you will get a gain of 17,800 if you are leasing. So per year if the same is taken on lease. So the only point in favor of purchase of a building is that after 20 years the land would appreciate in value. So if you purchase of an asset, initial investment is more, but in future the land will appreciate. There is depreciation in the building, but the land will give you an appreciation. If you're leasing out an asset, you will need to spend 64,000, but if you make a decision to purchase an asset, you will lose in investing that amount in good securities, which will give you a loss of 36,800. And you need to spend for maintaining it, which is 45,000. So the expenses is actually more if you're purchasing, and where loss of income is also present, so it is better to lease out the to take the property on lease. So thank you everyone. The other problems will be discussed in your upcoming videos.